Hey guys, today I'm going to be reviewing Season 1 of Detective Anna. First up, there's probably not a single damn person that's going to watch this video, and that's okay. Probably no one has really even heard about this show or even cares about it, but that's okay. I'm really just making this video for just me personally so I can get out my thoughts and feelings. But hey, if I can get at least one person to go check out this show, then I've done my job, I think. So yeah, anyway, this is a Russian TV series, you guys, which originally aired back in 2016 in Russia. So yeah, this is a fairly old show in some ways. But yeah, I really wanted to talk about it because I recently discovered it and I got quickly obsessed with it, and I just need to get out my feelings. And yeah, any of you who love historical fiction like I do, you know, period dramas and whatnot, just anybody who loves that sort of thing, it's just I want to make other people aware of it if anybody else has an interest in a show like this. And yeah, before I do get going with my thoughts and feelings on this first season of Detective Anna, I'm definitely not going to have any sort of spoilers in here, so don't worry about that. And yes, I do, for anybody who has maybe seen the show, I am aware there is a second season right now that recently aired, I believe, sometime, I think at the very end of 2020 and then here at the beginning of 2021, if I'm not mistaken. I am aware of a season 2, but hey, I need some English subtitles. So yeah, that's what I'm waiting for. So I figured in the meantime, while I'm waiting for some English subtitled season 2, I'll talk about season 1 here. So yeah, what you need to know about Detective Anna, like I said, I'm just going to be talking about this first season right now. Detective Anna, it takes place in a small town in Russia in 1888, so it's still taking place, you know, during Imperial Tsarist Russia. And it follows a young woman who, she kind of comes a bit from the upper class. Her father's like a really wealthy, popular lawyer in their town, so she has some money. The thing, her name's Anna, and her big thing, she can communicate with the dead, you guys. She can communicate with the dead. So this proves rather useful because she, in every episode, she teams up with the local detective, and together, because she can speak to the dead, she helps this local detective and the local police force, she helps them solve crime. And I love this whole show, you guys. It was brilliant and great. So first off, how did I randomly discover a Russian TV series, you guys? Because they're not really that easy to come by. I think the majority of them are like on streaming services. So yeah, just to make a long story short here, because I tend to really like watching documentaries, so I was watching a bunch of like Romanov, the Romanov dynasty, the last Tsar of Russia and whatnot. I had been watching a lot of like documentaries about the Romanovs, and then all of a sudden, in my YouTube recommendations, YouTube started recommending Detective Anna for me. So it kind of just kept popping up, and I was like, okay, this looks really interesting, you know, it's kind of checking off all these boxes for me, you know, it looks like historical fiction, and it's set in Russia, and I do love things that are set in like Imperial Russia and whatnot. So I was like, okay, YouTube keeps recommending this for me, I'm gonna go check it out and watch it. So yeah, that's when I did a little bit of research before I started watching it, that it came out back in 2016. And it has 56 episodes in the first season, you guys. 56 episodes. And I tell you what, I made it through them all. It took me about a month. It took me about a month to get through them all because I watched like 2 episodes every day, but I made it, and it was great. But yeah, if you are interested in watching this show, it is available for free on a couple places. Like, as I mentioned, because I watched it through YouTube, if you go to Star Media, EN, the EN stands for English if you want the English subtitles, because if you go to just Star Media, it's just going to have everything, you know, in the natural native language and whatnot. So if you need English subtitles, you need to go to Star Media EN. So that's where I discovered it. It was through that YouTube channel, and they had all the episodes uploaded with the English subtitles. And then I also found out that IMDb also has season 1 up for free, so that's an alternative as well. And then if you do have Amazon Prime also has it up, so if you do have an account for that, you can also watch it there. So yeah, there are 3 options there. There's the 2 free options with YouTube and IMDb, and then if you are a paying customer of Amazon Prime, you can also watch it there. So it is actually available in some places, if you know where to look. So moving on into more of my thoughts about the actual show. I do need to talk about, because what I watched was translated, obviously, and I watched it on YouTube. I do need to warn you, if you do watch it on the YouTube channel that I watched it on, the translations are a little sloppy on occasion. Sometimes things are not translated that well. Some things are phrased a little oddly and weirdly, and sometimes tenses would be weird, like past, present, and future tense is what I mean. Sometimes there would be tenses issues, if that makes sense. So there were a lot of occasions that I felt like the translating was fairly sloppy, but the good thing is, it wasn't so sloppy to the point that it was hard to understand. I was able to get the point, you know what I mean? I was able to get the point, obviously, and things still made perfect sense, I was never, confused, wait, what? But yeah, I just wanted to kind of make that known if you do watch it on YouTube. The translations are fairly sloppy, and sometimes it can be a little odd, and misplaced words or tenses are kind of not right. But yeah, that covers that. And as I keep mentioning, this is a 56 episode first season, and what you have to know about the layout of the season, every 2 episodes is the same crime. So for instance, episode 1 and 2, it's the same crime, the same story. And then, yeah, you move on to episode 3 and 4. The same crime, the same story. Episode 5 and 6, same crime, same story. It moves like that throughout the entirety of all 56 episodes. Every 2 episodes go together. And I definitely recommend watching the show in that manner, watching 2 episodes at a time, so that way you're consuming the same murder mystery, And it kind of comes across like a movie, like you're watching a movie. And yeah, the episodes are only 48 minutes a piece anyway, so they clock in right there about an hour and a half pretty much, so they're not that time consuming to me anyway. But yeah, the show in general, I just really fell hard for the show, you guys. It's nothing new. There's nothing particularly new about the show. There's plenty of other shows out there that follow, like a normal person and a cop, whether that's a female normal person and a male cop, or a male normal person and a female cop, however it kind of rolls, There's plenty of shows out there that function in that manner, with a normal person and a police officer or a detective or inspector, or however you want to think about it, So there's nothing particularly new about the show, but I guess it's just the overall nature of the show, I guess, that just really intrigued me and compelled me, because I do love historical fiction. I love that genre, and that's what really got to me. And then also, it taking place in Russia, of all places, because I've never watched a Russian show. You guys, this is my very first experience with a Russian show. I've watched other foreign television shows and whatnot, but yeah, this is my first experience with a Russian show, and I just really, I don't know, it was just new and different in a sense to me, even though it was covering something that's not particularly new, the subject matter. But yeah, I fell just extremely hard for this show, you guys. I was quickly obsessed with it. It's fun and entertaining. I love the romance, obviously, between Anna and the police officer, the detective. Such a brilliant, you watch this show for the romance, you guys, and because it's will they or won't they? It's these two have feelings for each other, but it's they don't act on them, So yeah, the show it's just really fun and entertaining. And it has really great moments of being serious, you know, but not too melodramatic. There were a few occasions that it got pretty melodramatic, but it would kind of quickly move from that. And the show is actually fairly humorous. I was very surprised, pleasantly surprised how humorous the show was, because I wasn't expecting it. For some reason, maybe this is just me being naive and ignorant, but I was expecting to go into the show thinking, oh, it's set in Russia during the 1800s. It's going to be dark and serious. There's not going to be any laughing in the show. But I was wrong. It's very silly and humorous and absurd on occasion. And yeah, there's funny characters and funny little plots that go on. So it's not all dark and dry and serious like I was kind of expecting it to be. And like I said, this is my first experience with an actual Russian show, and that's what I just really loved about this show. It followed, you know, it was real Russian actors taking place in real Russia, because I think we can all say that at some point in our lives we've watched something with people doing very bad Russian accents. For some reason, the Russian accent is very difficult to do. I understand why. So yeah, over the many decades that I've watched movies and television, I have seen a very large handful of very bad Russian accents. It's like no one can really pull it off that great. So I love that this show, it's like, hey, I got to see some actual Russian people and set in actual Russia, you know, not another country trying to be like, hey, this is Russian, you know, it's not Russia, it's like Canada or something. And what I love too about the show, there's not like stereotypes, you know, because I've seen plenty of, you know, either British shows or American shows, and when there are Russian characters or something, the characters are depicted as being so stereotypical, you know. American television and movies would make you think that Russians just sit and drink vodka all day long, you know. You know, like stupid stereotypical things like that, you know. So I love just the honesty of Detective Anna, you know, like this is just real people, real everyday life, you know, this is what they do, you know. So yeah, some things about the show, like some technical things, hair and makeup was great, especially Anna herself, her hair, you guys. I wanted Anna's hair. Her hair is absolutely gorgeous, and the thing is, I think that was the actress's real hair. It had to be. It didn't look like a wig. But yeah, I love the hair and makeup of this show. I love the costuming. The costuming was gorgeous, especially, once again, Anna. Anna had some of the most beautiful clothes. I love them. The sets, as far as the sets go, the sets, I think in kind of the first half maybe of the show, the sets almost seem a little cheap. But it seems like after that, it almost seems like they got maybe a little bit better budget, because then it started branching out a bit more and the sets started looking a lot better. And because for a good chunk of the show, there's a lot of stuff that happens like on this one street, you know, this one street, and it's like, don't they have any other sets that they can go to other than this one street? So eventually the sets do kind of branch out and there's a lot more, you know, instead of like a street that they're focused on. So yeah, sometimes the sets were a little cheap almost, in my opinion, but like I just said, they did kind of start getting, I think, better and better over the course of the show, because I think maybe they started getting more budget, you know, for it. And as I already mentioned, I definitely recommend watching like 2 episodes at any given time, since, you know, each 2 episodes are a running story and whatnot. The thing is, you can watch each story. It can't all be, you know, it is all very standalone, you know. It's you know, kind of a crime of the week almost, if you will. It runs like a standard show within this genre, you know, the crime of the week, the murder of the week, or whatever. But there is like a overarching plot that goes throughout the entire series, to keep things moving and to keep things interesting, you know, because the big overarching thing that is going on it does. It really gets dramatic. It hits a really crazy climax, by the time you get, especially to like the last 4 episodes especially. The last 4 episodes especially are where you get to what the big, kind of big overarching story is and whatnot. But yeah, like, as far as the big overarching story goes, there's something having to do with like a mysterious British scientist who's doing something like in the woods with like a mysterious fog, and what's going on there with this fog. And then there's also like a lady spy, a lady villainess almost, that has like a history with our leading male detective and whatnot. And then yeah, there's also like this prince character who's kind of up to some shady things. And then yeah, our leading detective himself, he has his own kind of dark backstory as well, a dark past that kind of ties into some of these things going on. And yeah, Anna is kind of brought into all this, it's like she kind of comes into things, because she can speak and communicate with the dead, but she too also starts getting wrapped up in some of this stuff that it does involve espionage and secrets and conspiracies, and yeah, there's like, at some point there's a young girl who Anna and the male detective, they're on the hunt for, because she was like kidnapped or something, and she has some secret messages, and that little character is kind of a running character throughout the show as well, in some really big pivotal ways. And there's just a lot of connecting threads over the course of all 56 episodes. Characters that you didn't think were important come back in huge ways by the end and whatnot. Big plot points that you didn't think, or plot points that you didn't think were important, come back in big ways. So there is definitely an overarching plot through all 56 episodes. Once again, there are a lot of things that stand alone, but there is a larger story and conspiracy kind of lurking in the background, which was great, that's what keeps you going, like, okay, I'm going to get through all these episodes. And yeah, not every episode is brilliant, it's like any show, not every episode is brilliant. You have the episodes that are the big highlights that really stand out, something that really either pushes the main story forward, or pushes at least like the main character relationship forward in some way, either forward or backwards on occasion. So yeah, there are some hit and miss episodes every so often, but for the most part, I loved just about every episode. There were seriously just a small scattering of episodes that I was kind of maybe a little bit bored with and I didn't particularly care for. But more than anything, I love just about every single episode, just about every story. And once again, you're really watching this show for that relationship between Anna and the male detective, because it is seriously the highlight of the show. So yeah, just getting into some of the cast really quickly, because I've not really talked about a lot of the characters individually just yet. Just kind of give you a quick lineup of the type of characters to expect in this show. Of course, there is Anna herself. The show is called Detective Anna, but yeah, she herself, she is not a detective. She plays a detective, by being able to communicate with the dead and kind of being a useful source, for the police force and whatnot. But yeah, Anna is played by, at the start of this video, I should have warned you guys, I can't speak Russian at all, so I'm going to be doing a lot of butchering with some of these names. I do apologize in advance. But yeah, the actress who plays Anna, her name is Alexandra Nikiforovna? Nikiforovna? Something like that. Oh lord, I'm sorry you guys, I'm sorry. I can pronounce her first name. She was a really remarkable actress, which she needed to be. She is in all 56 episodes. She never has a break, you guys. She is the lead of this show. She runs this whole show pretty much. I love the character of Anna. She's young and courageous and brave and kind of willing to take some risks and chances, and yeah, considering that the show takes place in 1888, she's a fairly modern woman in some ways, because she wants to control her own fate. She doesn't want her parents to arrange a marriage for her. She wants to do something with her life. She wants to have like a career. She wants to be useful, and yeah, she feels useful using her gift to communicate with the dead and whatnot. So I love the character of Anna. She's just a breath of fresh air, just so adorable, you guys. She was just so adorable, and I loved her. Once again, her hair and her costuming, I want it. And then our male lead, Dimitri Fried. Once again, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Dimitri Fried, he plays Yakov Stolman, the leading detective of this town. I love the character of Stolman, you guys. He's just amazing. He has like a dark, troubled past involving like a duel and a woman and some stuff like that. It's really dramatic. And he's much older than Anna, but it's like the relationship still works in a weird sort of way. And Stolman he's a very complex, interesting character because he has moments where he's very protective of Anna, and he really listens to her and really encourages her. But then he has moments where he is absolutely just foolish and stubborn in some of the choices he makes or some of the things he says to her. And that complexity with his character, the way he kind of treats Anna on occasion, the moments of protectiveness and encouragement, and then versus the moments of kind of treating her almost like you're not a real medium, you know. I don't believe in this stuff. Are you just play acting, you know, when he does say something foolish or stubborn, or moments when he's not, you know, it's like, 'cause she definitely has feelings for him, and then he does too, but it's like he's kind of balancing it, you know, like I'm not going to say anything, you know. I love that complexity with his character, and it makes their relationship a lot more intriguing, you know, that back and forth, you know. Like I said, because it is 56 episodes, they can't just be in love with each other from the very beginning, because it's going to get stale and boring over time. So the show brilliantly is able to balance out the Anna and Stolman relationship, you know, moments where they are kind of getting closer and closer, but then, yeah, Stolman, it's usually Stolman, he usually says something stupid and stubborn that pushes the relationship backwards, you know, and then they gotta start all over again, you know. And I loved the Stolman character. He's just really fantastic. And yeah, he's always duty bound, honor bound. He always strives to do the right thing. And yeah, he can always see through something, you know. That's kind of his thing. He can always just kind of see through something, because there'll be people that are like, oh, that was just a suicide. You know, they just want to say it was something simple. But then Stolman's always like, no, this is murder. You know? And he's able to see through certain things. He's able to see through people, like, hey, don't you lie to me. I know you're lying to me. And he was just a brilliant, fantastic character, and I loved him. And yeah, you guys, by the time you get to the final episode, there's some shocking things that happen, and it's like, dear freaking God. And then kind of getting to the supporting cast, I'm going to kind of fly through some of the supporting cast. One of my other top favorite characters, yeah guys, because I love Anna and Stolman, but yeah, coming in at third place, my third favorite character is the character of Anton Andreevich, played by Sergei Druzyak. Once again, I'm probably butchering that. I loved the character of Anton. Anton is essentially like Stolman's right-hand man. He's his deputy. They partner up with each other every single crime. They work very closely together, and they definitely form a really tight bond eventually. Because at first, when Stolman and Anton first meet, they definitely are at odds with each other. But yeah, Anton over time, I mean, he really learns and grows and develops, you know, and from Stolman's techniques and the way he goes about dealing with cases and handling people and whatnot. Anton is just, he is a cinnamon roll, you guys. He is an absolute cinnamon roll, just sweet and cute. And I adored him to bits. But yeah, he was just another really fantastic character. And then yeah, the rest of the supporting cast, once again, like I said, I'm going to kind of fly through some of this. We have the local doctor in town named Dr. Miltz. I really loved Dr. Miltz. He was great because he's kind of he's kind of like Stolman, you know, that he's a bit more kind of progressive and modern as well, you know, because he's in the medical field, and you know, there's new up and coming things in the medical field that he's learning and discovering that really helps with these crimes, you know, in this really small town full of people who just want to kind of simplify things. So yeah, I love Dr. Miltz. Then you also have Anna's mom and dad and uncle who play pretty big roles throughout the entire series. Her uncle is just, he's a ladies' man pretty much. He's a ladies' man. He's kind of rich and spoiled and pampered and kind of just does his own thing. But yeah, he's really kind of one of the few characters that really believes in Anna's gifts and whatnot and really encourages her, and never thinks of her as being foolish or stupid or anything. And then yeah, her mom is a great foil throughout this entire show, because her mom, her big thing, her mission, her sole mission in life is to get Anna married pretty much. And any young man that enters the picture, her mom is always like, hey Anna, look at this cute gentleman. And then Anna's dad, I freaking loved Anna's dad, you guys, because he's kind of like that too. He always has that mentality of like, hey, I need to get you married, you know, I need to get you settled. But at the same time, he always is repeating to Anna, hey, you're my daughter, I love you, and I just want your happiness, you know. If you're not ready to get married, I'm not going to force you to do something you don't want to do, you know. So I love that dichotomy of, you know, of what her dad wanted, what her mom wanted, what her uncle wanted, you know. I love her family units, they were great. And then there's also the character of Nina. Nina is like the, I'm not even sure how to describe Nina. Nina is like the femme fatale, if you will. She's a spy, she works in the employ of the Empress of Russia, which I guess would be Maria Feodorovna at this time in history, because Tsar Alexander III would be the current Tsar during this time period. So yeah, Nina works for the Empress of Russia, but she's also a spy in the background. Like I said, she's like this femme fatale kind of character. And yeah, her and Stolman have a backstory. Because they were like lovers in like St. Petersburg and whatnot, and like some things went down, like another man entered the picture and a duel and all this drama and stuff. And yeah, I love Nina. I think the one downside with Nina's character, I hated that her and Anna were at constant odds with one another, because they never get along, they are always at odds at one another, and I kept kind of rooting for Nina and Anna to come to some sort of you know, understanding with one another, but it kind of never happened. Nina is kind of always more villainous, you know, and she's always a foil to Anna and trying to keep Anna away from Stolman and whatnot. But yeah, I love Nina as a character. She's a seductress, you know, she's a seductress, and she's very good at her job, and she knows how to manipulate, and I loved her. And then yeah, another main character is a guy known as the Prince. He's like the next door neighbor to Anna somehow. How a prince is living next door to Anna, I never kind of quite understood that, to be quite honest. But yeah, the Prince, he's a very intriguing character, because it's like, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? It's kind of a little confusing initially until you kind of do get more into the story, and it becomes a little bit more clear. I really liked his role and function in the story, because there's definitely some big things that happen, especially as you get closer to the end, that really involve his character that's like, oh my god. And then yeah, I mentioned earlier there's a young woman in one of the very early cases in the show. Her name is Alice. She was like kidnapped as a little girl, and she kind of worked for her father doing some spying and whatnot. And so she was taken as a little girl, and yeah, she's been gone for years, so by then she's a teenager. By the time we were introduced to her into this show, she's like a teenager. Alice was also a very intriguing character. She's one of those characters that you're introduced to her in a set of episodes, and you don't think it's going to really go anywhere. You think she's a one and done character, but then she comes back in a very surprising way that's very integral and important to the course of the show as you're leading up to the very final episodes and whatnot. So I really love the character of Alice and what role she served as well. And then yeah, I mentioned earlier there's like a British scientist that also is in the equation, and he's running some experiments with like some fog, and you get this idea of like some sort of weapon, you know, there's some sort of weapon that's being created and whatnot, and you're never quite positive what's going on until, once again, you get closer to the end of the show. Once this scientist, Gordon Brown, his name's Gordon Brown, once you kind of figure out what he's doing, what he's up to, you know, and yeah, why Nina is in town as well, because Nina really ties in closely to him. And then yeah, one of your last main characters is like the chief of police that Stolman and Anton work with and whatnot. And I really liked the chief of police. The chief of police was probably the most over-the-top character on occasion, but he provided some really great humor, which was great. And yeah, that's pretty much kind of it with the main bulk of the cast, you guys. There's a surprising amount of characters, which is great, because it keeps everything lively and fresh, you know, especially considering that it is 56 episodes. You need a rather large cast of characters to keep things going. So you guys, that is it for my review on season 1 of Detective Anna. In the comments below, has anyone else watched this show. Like I said, I just randomly discovered it through YouTube recommendations. I'm glad YouTube recommended it for me. I fell in love with it, and I fell in love with it hard. I became obsessed with it. I am absolutely anxious for season 2. I just need it uploaded with English subtitles, you guys, because I can't wait. I can't wait, because there was definitely a bit of a cliffhanger. Let's put it that way. There's a tad bit of a cliffhanger by the end of this show, and it's driving me a little crazy. But yeah, has anybody else seen this show? Has this review maybe compelled you to go check it out at all? It might sound a little daunting. You know, 56 episodes of a Russian TV series, and it's all subtitles. It might sound a little daunting, but if it sounds like your sort of thing, I think you might enjoy it. It is. It's just absolutely fun and entertaining, full of a great cast of characters and great stories. And just kind of different and unique in its own way in some ways. But yeah, definitely let me know if you've seen this show or if you plan on watching it. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.